Unusually, I haven't thought about what I'm going to say at the moment because I've had a day of being on the phone and doing this job and that job and so on and so forth. And instead of using Messenger, which I normally do to talk to our guests, I'm using Zoom. And so unlike most of the rest of the country, I haven't used Zoom very often. I know you're all Zoom fatigued, but I am not. So I've just had to learn a whole new thing. And I think we've done remarkably well. I'm particularly excited again today every time I get to share a family member. And Tracy, we have a large extended family, don't we?
We do.
Which is wonderful. I love being part of this family and I love how we all pretty much look the same, don't we?
I think as we've got older, all of the cousins start to look like sisters.
Yeah, we do. We do. It's hilarious. So what's your first piece of random shit to share?
Oh, well, thank you for inviting me to do this because I have been a bit Marie Kondo during the lockdown while I've been working from home and so a lot of my random shit has ended up at the Salvos, but I do have some random shit to show you. So the first bit of random shit are some books that I found that belonged once to my beautiful mother who passed away at Christmas time last year. And she gave them to my son because he coached the netball team. And these are netball coaching books from the 1970s and early 1980s. My mum was one of those ladies in white who you see at all the netball courts around the country. She was a highly qualified umpire and she was passionate about netball. It was her life. She gave it 110%. And she has had leadership positions in the local netball club. She raised money. She used to organise social events. I reckon if she was born 40 years later, she'd be running a company. But she was a single parent raising 5 kids on her own, and netball just gave her that out. So we were netball orphans every Saturday. She spent the whole Saturday and many nights during the week at netball. And I think you were probably netball orphans for a while too, weren't you, Robin?
Yes.
Your mum was very much involved in Queensland netball.
That's right. And I'm sporting quite a number of the badges. I thought I'd get the badges out. And so this is just a small selection of our netballing badges, and on this camera 3 we've got a whole bunch of netball badges because yes, like your mum, my mum was all about netball all the time.
And I remember when we were growing up, Mum would always say, netball is the most popular sport in Australia, but it's only ever the blokes that get any of the TV or airplay. And your mum, of course, was very successful in getting netball on TV, particularly in Queensland. But these books are about, this one's called Top Performance Techniques. I don't know if you can see that.
Yeah.
It's a 1979 book. And I'm just showing you a photo. I'm pretty sure that's Marsha Ella.
Oh, yes.
Was one of the famous Ella family.
Yes.
So her brothers played rugby league.
That's right.
Or rugby union. And she was very good at netball. And it turned out that her daughter played in the same netball comp as my daughter. And she was coaching her daughter's team many years later. So these are very technical, these books. And netball coaches would have been using these to really strategize and train their players. And my son Ryan used them in the netball teams that he had. But I love this one. It's kind of, this is called Stretch and Reach. And here's a great drawing of someone who's had a bad game of netball.
Just bring it up a bit, Tracy. Yeah, that's it. Oh, yeah.
Someone who's had a bad game of netball and so really needs to learn how to stretch and reach. And I love the kind of courier font that they have in the book too. It's very home style. So, these, and I love this font. I'm a bit of a font fan. I don't know if anyone else loves fonts, but I love fonts. This is a real 70s font with those curly letters.
Yeah.
Really kind of place it in a particular year. And you know, when I was younger, I used to have my letter set catalogue, but they were the letters that you used to rub in, and we didn't have the letter sets kit, but I had the catalogue, and I would spend hours trying to copy fonts like these onto pieces of paper.
Yeah.
You know, I should have been a printer, I think. But yeah, so that's my first random shit are my mum's old netball coaching books.
I love them. What treasures they are. Yeah, okay. So mine are things that I've had up on the shelves here for the entire time that we've been broadcasting, because I've never really had the opportunity to bring them out. So these are also my mum. It's just a bit of a mum session, isn't it? These are two of her Bibles. Now, I'm not a religious person at all, and I never have been, but I really do I appreciate what religion gives to you. And Mum was quite religious in her early life, and less so in her, at the time that she was dying, she became religious again because she was worried about, you know, a whole heap of stuff. But I found these a little while ago when I was going through our old blanket books, and it's just really beautiful iconography in these books, and all of these little things fell out. So this one here is, and often they've been given to her from relatives. This one is Our Lady of Perpetual Help. And I had a little joke, you know, that I share, and that's, you know, when people say you should never make assumptions. Well, I go on to say that I pray to Our Lady of Assumption every day that I stop making assumptions, but it doesn't work. And I think that's, you know, part of that not being religious thing. But this one is in loving memory of Catherine Ann McGlone, who is part of our extended family. So she died on the 12th of January 1965, aged 66. So there's all of these amazing things. This one's to Leslie with love from Johnny and Joan. May the grace of God be always with you, Leslie. Pray for me. I don't know who that's from. That's the picture. But they're incredible, aren't they? They're so... Michael Thomas Harris. I don't know who that was, but he passed away when he was only 3 months old in 1957. This one's from 1906, so obviously not given to Mum. That says Nana Cook.
Wow.
1961 after that. So, yes. Anyway, it's amazing. These are just astonishing things, and these are not something that you would throw away, are they?
No, definitely not.
But what do you do with them?
I have the ones from our grandparents when they died.
Oh, have you?
Bill Kearns and Rita Kearns.
Oh, wow.
I think the funeral companies used to give them out at the funerals.
They must have done, but they're really... Oh, this one's to Adam. Adam Cooper, if you're watching, it says, God bless Adam, Christmas 1987, from Mrs. Chiozza. There you go, Ad, that's yours. Okay, yeah, amazing.
They're all good big too, aren't they?
They've been tucked away in that Bible for all these years. Yeah, unsullied by my hands, I can assure you. Oh, dear. So, Tracy, what's your second piece of random shit?
Oh, well, my second piece of random shit you can see behind me, and that are these beautiful Japanese teacups from the 1950s. I'll bring one up and just show you.
Oh,
can you see that?
That is glorious.
Well, it's fine Japanese china, and this brown one and the one behind it, I picked up about 20 years ago on a visit to Tasmania, where my sister was living at the time, my sister Donna, and she is very good at finding cool things in trash and treasure. So we went to this big barn, and those cups were sitting there, and they were about $10. And they're just gorgeous, and I always love them because I love that mid-century design. And then about 3 years ago now, we had an old bookcase that we gave away through Gumtree for free. And this lady who had a family and she had some disabled kids came, and she loved the bookcase, and so she picked it up and she saw the cups and she said, "Oh, I think I've got some a bit like that." And I said, "Oh, isn't that amazing? You know, they're beautiful." And then I'd never heard anything again from her until 12 months later, she knocks on my door and she said, "I'm having a big clean out." So she must have been doing her Marie Kondo. And she said, "Here are these cups. And I remembered you had them and you did a good thing for me, so I'm going to give these to you." And
How
so
beautiful.
she gave us these cups. And they matched the other two perfectly. It's now a perfect set of 4. And it's just a really lovely reminder of how beautiful people can be. I mean, you know, that was just such a kind and generous thing for her to do, you know, because it was a year later. And yeah, it just kind of one of those things that makes your heart warm, and you think, well, I mean, there's lots of examples of people doing things like that in the current COVID lockdown. But, you know, just think, aren't people wonderful? Aren't people beautiful?
I think they are.
And I think that, you know, in these times that we're in now, it's that beautiful connectivity between people that I think it really keeps us all going, you know, when we can't be with each other physically. The fact that there's this kind of that beautiful network of humanity that connects people together that I think is really, really lovely. So that's kind of the nice story behind that. And I have them locked away in a cupboard and don't use them very much. But if you come down to visit when we can do that kind of travel, Robin, we will have a cup of tea.
Yes, because I know how much you love your tea.
I do love my tea. I make my own chai, so we can have a cup of tea.
I would love to do that, Tracy. Absolutely. All right. Now, my next piece of random shit is, speaking of family, is our family book. So we have a cousin, Andrew James Moran, who wrote this book about our family, and it's a fantastic book, and he had it published for 1988. It was in 1988 that we got it, and we all headed up to Missabody for a family reunion. And this is another one of those things, I don't know how well you'll see it, but that is our ancestors. So these two people here in the front are our... oh, well, hang on a tick. Let me just find. Okay, so over here, this man and woman here are Nana's, our Nana's parents, and they are her parents there. So however many greats that is. I think it's amazing. I think it's amazing to see a whole picture like that of all of those people that we're related to, and then as those different branches of the family come down, that's when we see, you know, the McGlones and all of those other ones. It's just fascinating, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
I love this book. And then in the back it's got, you know, who begat who, that kind of thing, which is really nice.
And that would have been so much harder to do back in the 1980s before they had Ancestry.com and all those software, Ancestry.
Absolutely, that's exactly right. And I think that he travelled overseas as well to Ireland to get some information around that. But look, there's up here on the Sunshine Coast, there's lots of Morans. And I keep saying, I wonder if we're related. Because we could very well be.
Yeah, I'm sure you are.
Yeah. Well, there's so many of us, isn't there?
And that part of the Northern Rivers of New South Wales, you know, around Missabody, around Belgium, it's just such a beautiful part of Australia too. It's a little bit like the Sunshine Coast, Queensland.
It is.
Isn't it?
Yeah. All right, Tracy, thank you so much for joining us.
Nice to talk to you, and look forward to at some time in the future having a cup of tea with you and seeing you in person.
Yeah, I'd love to do that. I can't wait.
All right.
All right, thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. Thank you for joining us. If your name is Moran, please contact me, or some cooks. So we have cooks on both sides of my family, and it's just fun to see who's related to who. Let me know. That was good. I love those cups. That's such a lovely story.
The cups, I know. We're okay now, aren't we?
Yeah. But we can still hear. So we haven't finished recording the
So
sound.
I can talk to you about, this lady was a real battler, and she had a highly autistic son. Her life was so tough. And that just made her generosity in just coming over from where she lived and dropping that in 12 months later. It was extraordinary.
Yeah, that is
I wanted
extraordinary.
to pay her for it, and she said, no, you guys could cover that. So it's like, wow.